Grisha is the son of one of the richest men in Russia, and he acts like it. He is spoiled, very rude, and always gets in trouble because he never faces any consequences for what he does. Grisha doesn't do anything helpful in his life. He just spends his time partying, drinking, and using women. One night, after he kicks a girl out of his car because she won't get intimate with him, Grisha is stopped by the police for speeding. He tries to bribe Captain Semyonov, like he does with every cop, but Semyonov refuses the money. Since Grisha doesn't understand consequences, he tries to drive away, and Semyonov stands in front of the car to stop him. Grisha keeps driving, with Semyonov holding onto the hood of the car. A little later, Grisha's dad, Pavel, comes to the police station to pay his son's bail and free him. Even while locked in a cell, Grisha still acts like a spoiled brat, demanding to be served. The police chief reminds Pavel of all the trouble Grisha has caused in recent months, including wrecking a yacht, and now he has even injured a police officer. The boy is completely out of control, and Pavel really needs to do something about it. After paying the bail, Pavel scolds Grisha for his behavior and threatens to cut him off, but Grisha doesn't worry because he knows his dad doesn't really mean it. Feeling very stressed, Pavel goes to see his friend, TV producer Anastasia, looking for comfort. He doesn't know what to do about Grisha anymore and can't even send him to the army because he has already pulled strings to get Grisha out of being recruited before. Anastasia then gets an idea. She knows a guy she used to work with on horror movies who could help. His methods are unusual but very effective, and Pavel agrees to meet him. They find Lev Arnoldovich in his creepy house, hanging from the ceiling with a rope around his neck, but it turns out to be fake. He creates devices and special effects to trick the eye. After showing Pavel his method with a client, who pretended to cut off his finger, Pavel gets scared and wants to leave, but Anastasia convinces him to listen to Lev's plan for Grisha. Many days later, as Grisha exits a club, he sees his car being towed and runs after the truck, only to suddenly get shot and fall unconscious. When he wakes up hours later, he finds himself in a stable, dressed in strange clothes, and is told by a stable boy named Artyom that he needs to saddle the horses or their lord will be angry. Grisha doesn't know what is happening, especially when a foreman named Avdy Mikhalik comes to drag him out and kicks him while shouting at him for not following orders. At that moment, the landowner, Dmitry Timofeev, and his son, Alexei Timofeev, arrive and give Avdy a whip, which he uses on Grisha for not following orders. Dmitry demands that Grisha get the horse ready or face worse punishment. However, when Artyom brings him back to the stable, Grisha jumps through the window and runs away. He seems to have ended up in a village in 1860s Russia, before the end of serfdom. As he runs, Grisha asks people for help, asking for a phone or the police, but no one understands him. Eventually, he reaches the edge of the estate and accidentally falls into a lake. When he returns to the village to get dry clothes, he is caught by Avdy and taken to be hanged for escaping. Luckily, Dmitry's daughter, Aglaya, appears and asks her father to spare the prisoners' lives because she's tired of all the killing. A bird flies over them, watching everything, before entering a building at the edge of town. But it's not a real bird, it's a drone, because this whole situation isn't time travel, it's Lev's plan to teach Grisha some discipline, and Pavel is paying for this expensive production. Lev is in charge, with help from Anastasia, who uses her experience as a TV producer to ensure everything goes smoothly. There are hidden cameras everywhere, even in the trees, and there is always a sniper ready to shoot Grisha with a tranquilizer if something goes wrong. After seeing that his son is really being whipped, Pavel starts to worry if he did the right thing. Lev convinces him this is for Grisha's own good. While watching Lev and Anastasia arguing, Pavel learns that when Anastasia said they worked on horror movies together, she meant they used to be married. This surprises him because he thought their relationship was just physical. While Grisha spends time alone in the stable, coming to terms with the fact that he has traveled in time, the actors receive scripts for the next scene. The director reminds everyone of the rules. Women should not shave their legs, men should not shave their faces, and bras, underwear, earrings, and rings are not allowed. Alexei picks up his script after greeting his girlfriend, Liza, who is in charge of the horses and not acting. He jokes with Aglaya about her contract, which makes her the love interest for Grisha, meaning she will have to sleep with him. This makes Alexei wonder where the line between acting and being a harlot is. Grisha starts living through a terrible routine in the village. He has to wake up before dawn, eat broth with only flies as meat, work with horses he's afraid of, use the forest as a bathroom, wear pants without underwear, and gets whipped every time he's disrespectful. One afternoon, while Misha takes a break from work, he hears Aglaya crying. She tells him she is sad because her father wants her to marry an old rich man. Instead of showing sympathy, Grisha thinks it's a great idea because if the man is old, he'll die soon and Aglaya will get all the money. A few days later, Grisha steals a chicken and asks Artyom for tools to make soup, but Grisha ends up eating it all himself instead of sharing with Artyom, who did most of the work. When Avdi discovers the chicken is missing, he demands the thief confess or he will whip someone random. Again, Grisha shows no sympathy and watches as Artyom is taken away to be whipped without saying a word. Moments later, Artyom meets Grisha and shows him his scarred back, courtesy of the makeup team. Grisha still doesn't care, and while explaining his thoughts to Artyom, he notices Liza getting off a horse and realizes she's wearing modern underwear when her skirt gets stuck. This gives Grisha an idea, so he runs after her and tackles her to the ground, trying to see her panties, but luckily, other villagers intervene and pull him off so she can escape. Seeing that Grisha isn't getting anywhere, Pavel considers shutting down the whole operation, but then there's big news: Grisha is looking for Liza to apologize. The villager actors initially ignore him because he shouldn't even know Liza, but Lev thinks this is a great chance for progress and orders the actors to tell him where she lives. Grisha finds Liza, who has a wood stick with a nail just in case, and apologizes. Liza accepts but warns her to be careful of him for a while. A few days later, it's time to celebrate Ivan Kupala, a holiday considered the most magical night of the year. Legends say that whoever you spend the night with will be with you for life. At the party, Grisha teaches the musicians how to play the lambada and gets everyone to form a conga line. Aglaya joins to tell Grisha that the thought of an arranged marriage is too much, and she plans to walk into the lake tonight. Instead of stopping her, Grisha seeks out Liza, telling her stories about future technology, and she believes him when he says he's a time traveler. Their conversation is interrupted by Artyom, who, after several attempts to distract Grisha from Liza, mentions that Aglaya has been seen near the lake. Grisha finally puts the pieces together and rushes to the lake to save her. However, when she approaches him, he turns her down and goes looking for Liza instead. When he finds her, she's not at the party, so he goes to her house, where all the crew hides before she opens the door. Grisha wants to spend the night with Liza to see if the legend will come true, but she isn't interested and shuts the door in his face. The next day, Lev decides that Liza will be Grisha's new love interest, making her another actress in the show. She doesn't like Grisha very much and refuses to kiss or sleep with him, but she wants to help him become better, even if Alexei is unhappy to see his girlfriend involved. The show enters a new plot point, where Alexei is found drunk downtown after causing chaos and injuring the sheriff, believing that it's his right because he's noble. Instead of being disgusted by Alexei's behavior, Grisha feels jealous, thinking Alexei had an amazing night. However, Grisha's mood changes when Dmitri wants him to take Alexei's place and be punished instead. Grisha is reluctant but ultimately accepts when Dmitri offers him freedom and good food in exchange. This time, Grisha remembers to share the food with Artyom. Meanwhile, Anastasia and Lev start to get along again, and Pavel worries they might get back together, but Lev thinks it's funny because Anastasia clearly loves Pavel. This surprises him since he always thought their relationship was only physical. Grisha endures 24 whippings, but Pavel can't bear to watch, so he leaves the room. Anastasia follows him and comforts him, showing that Lev's methods work, noting that his trick to pretend cutting off a finger helped her quit smoking. After the punishment, Grisha goes to the landowner's house to ask for papers to grant him his freedom. Dmitri isn't there, so Alexei receives him and throws him on the floor, kicks him, and spits on him, calling him an idiot for believing they would actually free him. Grisha stands up, ready to fight back, but decides to leave quietly, which disappoints Leviticus. From then on, Grisha continues to work as a stable boy but starts spending more time with Liza and falling in love with her. One day, while walking together, they see a bird flying oddly. It's a drone that lost control. While the producers prepare the sniper in case it crashes, Liza tries to distract Grisha by saying she's seen the bird since childhood and believes it's her guardian angel. Thankfully, the technicians regain control of the drone before it causes trouble. Meanwhile, Alexei and Aglaya are upset about how things are going. Aglaya is annoyed that Liza replaced her, and Alexei doesn't like seeing his girlfriend with another man. They end up making love inside a carriage, but Grisha and Liza accidentally find them. Liza is heartbroken to catch Alexei cheating, and Grisha is disturbed to see what he thinks are siblings getting inappropriate. Because of this, Lev fires both Aglaya and Alexei. Liza's mood worsens, so to cheer her up, Grisha decorates the stable with candles and makes a dinner for them to share while using one fork. After dinner, they go stargazing, and Grisha tells Liza that if he were free, he would marry her. He admits that he wanted to punch Alexei but didn't, because when he looked at him, he saw himself. Touched by how much he's changed, Liza kisses him. Meanwhile, in the real world, Aglaya is on a popular talk show telling everyone that Grisha has been kidnapped and tortured for fun. The police announce an investigation, and when Pavel sees this on the news, he panics and wants to shut everything down before they arrive. Lev, however, insists it's too soon and they still have time to plan one final heroic act for Grisha. Because Grisha is unaware of the odd things happening around him, they decide to send a group of Mongols to invade the village. Grisha is spending time with Liza when she suddenly tells him that if they get separated, she wants him to know that everything they shared was real for her. Just then, Artyom arrives and tells them to hurry back to the village because the Mongols are attacking. Grisha believes this easily and thinks they should go the other way to avoid trouble, so Artyom uses an excuse Lev provides. The Mongols will burn the village if all workers aren't present. In the village, the Mongols have received a lot of food, but their leader also wants a woman, so he chooses one from the crowd. Her father jumps in to protect her, and since the Mongols respect bravery, they allow him to challenge one of their soldiers for her freedom. The father loses and is decapitated, but paying with his life is enough to set his daughter free. The leader then chooses Liza, and no matter how much she cries for Grisha's help, he gets scared and runs away. Seeing that the plan isn't working, Pavel wants to shut everything down, especially with the police coming closer, but Lev insists they wait a bit longer because he has faith in Grisha. When Grisha sees the bird drone above him, he thinks it's a sign from Liza's guardian angel and decides to do the right thing. He gets on a horse, grabs Liza's old stick, and rides back to hit the Mongols on the head before getting Liza on the horse with him and escaping. Just as they ride away, the police arrive on set. Since Grisha is missing, it's easy for Pavel, Anastasia, and Lev to lie to the officers and claim they're filming a movie, which the police believe, leaving without arresting anyone. Meanwhile, Grisha and Liza ride beyond the estate limits and come across a gas station, which confuses Grisha greatly. Liza is about to explain everything when suddenly the sniper shoots and knocks Grisha out. When he wakes up in the hospital, Pavel tells him he's been in a coma for 3 months after a car accident and pretends not to know what Grisha is talking about when he asks about the village and Liza. Grisha tries to go back to his old party life, but it no longer feels right. He even gifts his car to Captain Semyonov to make up for what he did to him. One night at a club, Grisha sees Alexei and Aglaya and tries to ask them about Liza, but they pretend they don't know him. Grisha apologizes for the mix-up while looking defeated, prompting the actors to take pity on him and give him some information. The next day, they take Grisha to the ranch where the production rents horses and where Liza works. When he finally sees her again, he asks if what she said is true and if it all was real for her. When she confirms it, they kiss and begin a new relationship. Later on, Grisha brings Liza as his +1 to his father's wedding with Anastasia, where he thanks his dad for putting him through this crazy project that helped him become a better person. From that day forward, more spoiled rich kids are brought to the village frequently, and Grisha helps with their rehabilitation.